This program is rated SPG. It contains scenes with themes, language, violence, sex, horror, or drugs which may not be suitable for children. Strong parental guidance is advised.
Roughly 100,000 patients worldwide undergo organ transplantation annually, but many other patients remain on a waiting list. Most of these people who waited long enough just give up and ended up dying. However, patients nowadays need not to wait long enough for organ donations within their country. Commercially driven transplantation, which does not always ensure proper medical care of the recipients or the donors and might lengthen waiting times for resident patients, is now available. But these procedures usually increase the illegal and unethical purchase of organs from living donors and mostly result to faulty organ transplantation and malpractice due to lacking of medical processes. Recently, a viral Facebook post caused a commotion in the Philippine Medical Authority. The post was about questioning and a call for justice after a patient on liver transplant died due to incompetent organ transplantation. We traced the private institution where the surgery was made, and luckily, we were able to track down the people involved. Through research, we found Dr. Mike, not his real name. He was the doctor who performed the organ transplantation alongside with his medical team.
Do you know where the organ came from?
Yes, I was the one who purchased the organ from our reference institution. But I didn't know the organ was that illegal. They said they will send us the legal documents along with the organ.
Do you know that it is illegal?
No, I have no idea that the organ from that institution is illegal.
According to his statement, the organ donated was tested before the surgery. He didn't know what went out wrong for the patient to die. He didn't even knew that the organ was incompatible because the test dot was all positive. And knowing that the patient needs an emergency operation, he has to do it. But why didn't they know the compatibility of the organ?
What is the result of the operation? Are there any complications on the patient?
The operation was successful. No other damage was done on the surrounding tissue of the patient. However, day after the operation, the patient acquired an internal infection. He also had some bleeding on the cut, which indicated that the patient's body is rejecting the organ. Too much blood was lost. We tried to revive the patient, but the infection already infected the nearby organs, which caused her death.
Based on her statement, she received the organ addressed to Dr. Mike, saying that this organ is for liver transplant. According to her, she received the organ from an unknown person. She had a request for organ compatibility test from the doctor. Based on the tests performed, all of them tested positive. However, she admitted that she was also at fault. She failed to identify the man who delivered the organ and forgot to ask for legal documents about the organ donor.
Do you know that the organ was illegal?
No, I don't even know where the organ came from.
Do you know the one who delivered it?
I don't even remember his face nor his gender.
How did you receive it?
It was sealed in an ice box like a typical way of delivering an organ in the lab, with the patient's name on it and the test form.
Can you give us some tests that you've done with the organ?
I did 3 tests, which is blood typing, cross-matching, and tissue biopsy, and it all went compatible with the patient's sample.
Aside from that, we also tried to contact one of the nurses who assisted the doctor during the operation.
Can you narrate to us what happened during the operation?
All I know is that the patient is in critical condition and is in need of emergency organ liver transplant. Nothing went wrong with the operation, and it even ended well.
How do you feel on losing your daughter?
After the surgery, I thought everything would be alright. The doctor said the surgery was a success. I was just sitting beside her and she had a shock. I screamed for help, and the doctors and the nurses immediately rushed to her, but she passed away. I don't know what happened. The doctor said she will be fine and she will wake up after days. But now what happened? That hospital and the doctors must be sued. They must pay for the precious life of my daughter.
Among the amendments approved was Article 17, which states that anyone who removes an organ from a human body with the illegally transplanting it violates Articles 2, 3, and 4, shall be punished and fined between 500,000 to 1 million pesos. According to the Republic Act 5527, an act requiring the registration of medical technologists, defining their practices, and for other purposes, or the Philippine Medical Technology Act of 1969. In Section 24, this imposed the penalty of reprimand or suspension of the certificate and does not exceed 2 years. This act is for unprofessional conduct, malpractice, incompetency, or serious ignorance or gross negligence in the practice of medical technology.
Last January 2019, the doctor and his medical team was found guilty for violating Republic Act 7170 and for negligence and malpractice in the medical field. Truly, justice must reign amidst all.